Welcome to You Can Do It. Today we're going to look at removing, cleaning the Dura-Ace cassette on your wheel. I mean Dura-Ace or any sort of cassette, they're all the same. So this is our wheel that we've got today. This is my Mavic. Anyway, it doesn't really matter what wheel you've got, they're all pretty much the same. So what we're going to do is take this off, take it all to bits, clean it and put it back together. I mean, that's the best way to do it really, is take it all off, clean all the components and put it back. I mean, you can try with a bit of a brush and in between these, but we do a proper job here, so let's get on. So first of all, we're going to take out the take out your spindle, because you can't take this off without taking your spindle out. So I'm going to show you today a quick way of doing this without too many special tools or anything like that. So let's get on. First of all, I'll take the spindle out. So the spindle, basically, you need to hold both sides, but you just need to undo this one here, and it'll come off. But I need both hands for that. So let me get on. Okay, I've just gently supported that in the vise there. So make sure you take that off, but make sure you get that the big end goes like that. Take that off, push that out. Take it out here from the other side, and then of course I'm going to just stick it back together again so you don't knock it on the floor and lose that little spring. Okay, so the spindle's there all back together. Okay, so now here, we can take this off here, put this on the table. So now what we need to do is take this off here, okay? So I've got a little socket that goes in there, which you should have and you do need, so let me go and find that. Okay, what tools do we need to actually take to undo that, to take the cassette off? So I've got an old chain there. I mean, this is actually the chain that's just come off the bike, but just any old chain that you've got. That is the actual socket tool that you need, which sort of fits in there, look, and then you can undo it. And then you need either a spanner, just an adjustable spanner, or a socket or whatever. What I'm going to use to go onto that is I've got a socket that goes on there, look, and that's a 3/8 drive there, so I've got a wrench for that. And then you just need a pair of pliers or something to hold the chain. So let's get on and take the cassette off. So if we take our little tool there, we put it in there. The problem is, look, when we try and undo it, the cassette ratchets around. So we need to hold these cogs here. Now we don't obviously want to just put something rough on here and bend these teeth or anything, because it's going to mess up your very expensive cassette. So what we generally will use is an old chain. Okay, so I've just put the chain around there like that, and then what I'm going to use is a pair of my grips, and then I can hold that like that, and I can hold that chain tight, and that'll stop that moving. So then, obviously, I'm going to put my socket on top of it, put my wrench in there, yeah, and that should be ready to undo. Now I need two hands to do that. So, but what I'm going to actually do is use the pliers to hold that tight, and this can't move, and then I'm going to undo that counterclockwise. So let's get on and do it. So that came off quite easily. It shouldn't be too tight. I mean, it's not silly tight. So then you can just undo that. So obviously you can take the old chain off. It's always worth keeping an old chain for those sort of things. So you just literally undo it. It's on a slight, you can feel it, it's got some slight ridges in it, deliberately to stop it sort of undoing. So right, you see these little marks there, so you'll feel when you tighten it up it sort of grates onto there deliberately, sort of like a spring washer type thing. Okay, so now what we're going to do is move that like that. So now take that one off there, and put it down there. The next one, now what actually happens is that it all comes off bit by bit, but what I generally will do is take the whole lot off. So you hold the bottom, the biggest sprocket, there we are, and just take the whole lot off and put it down like that. So you now know it's in completely the same order, right? So then you've just got here, so obviously if you're doing a service you can expect it, make sure it's all cleaned up and everything, so I'll just clean that up. This is a fairly new wheel, so don't expect there to be anything there, so I'll just clean up those grooves and everything. But otherwise this wheel is totally fine. So I'm going to quickly clean that up and then we'll get back onto the socket. Okay, so now on to cleaning this. So a lot of people worry about all the order that these are in, but I'm going to show you now this is quite a simple way, because all these look, if you look, have got normal spaces apart from one little one there which is a lot narrower than all the others, and they've all got that, so basically they can only go on in the right place all the way down. So the only thing that you need to really worry about are the spacers, and they're actually quite self-explanatory, but just for you to remember, if you take this off like this, look, you've got one socket there, one sprocket there, no spacer. You've got another sprocket there, no spacer. Remember, it's got that little small notch in it, so you can't help but get it in the right place. Then this one comes off. That's got a flat surface, but that then there's a spacer. So the way to remember is that you've got 3 rings, 1, 2, 3, then a spacer. Then another tooth, look, and it's actually flat, it's a flat tooth, whereas these ones have got like, look, that's got a little lip on it, that's got a lip on it, that one hasn't, that's got a flat, that's flat, then a spacer, flat, and there should be another spacer, and then this one is again a flat one, and a spacer. So that's your order there. Yeah. So basically that's a flat tooth there. Yeah. And so far as which way round they go, you always have the number pointing to you. So here, look, you've got a number on there, the 15. The numbers always point so that you can see when you're looking on top of the cassette. So that's it. And then these is just like a little bit more complicated setup when they build them, but obviously that's all fixed together there. So there's your next 3, and then they're your top 2. So you can actually, if you can get hold of these individual parts, you can change your cassette and build up different cassettes. So yeah, but this is a Dura-Ace one, which are really lightweight. Nice piece of kit. And don't listen to what people say about, one chain replace a cassette. It's a load of rubbish. There's no way that you can damage your cassette unless you've been riding it with a chain that's stretched enormously, but even then you'll mess the front one up, the front chain ring, before you do your rear sprockets. But look, these are all fine, and actually they're supposed to be slightly different, because if you look here, that one just goes straight up, and then this one, if you can see, is a slightly sort of more sloped, and that's deliberate, because that's how it makes them as easy changing. They change over easier, and they grip on certain teeth and not on the others to pull the chain across. So yeah, don't worry about, if you look at that and go, oh, that one that one there looks a little bit more sort of sharp finny rather than those that look upright. That's fine, that's made like that. Okay, so now what we're going to do is show you how to quickly clean them. So you shouldn't have any worry about getting this in the wrong order, because it's fairly obvious with the cassette, with the sprockets, obviously get smaller as you go up, and then you've only got to remember those 3 spacers. But I'll show you when you put it all together, you can see if you've done it right or not, because the gaps between the sprockets should all be even, and if you get those in the wrong place, they won't be. So let's get on to my quick and easy way to clean this. Now, I mean, you can have some degreaser, you can have all these expensive cans of whatever, but I just use petrol. I've got an off-road motorbike, I just use the petrol from the tank of that. So I'll be back in a second once I've got some petrol from a bike. Okay, I'm back. Obviously do this at your own risk, don't do it inside, don't do it near naked flames, etc, etc, because this is petrol. It's from a bike, so it's actually got a bit of oil in it. It's a 2-stroke KTM, but the first sprocket is obviously a little bit too big to go actually in my container, so I've actually put a little bit of petrol in the lid, and that's soaking in there. So all the rest, stick them all in. The spacers are all the same, so it doesn't matter which spacer you use, just chuck them all in there. Yeah. Leave that to soak for a bit, and the petrol will just get all the grease and everything off that. And then I can put the lid back on. Once I've soaked that one, I'll put the lid back on, and then I can really shake that in there. We'll just leave that like that for half an hour, and then we'll be back. I've got a little wire brush there, and I just use that to clean up any stubborn marks or stains on there. But that should clean up. Leave that to soak in there for 5 or 10 minutes. Everything will come off there. Okay, we're back. I've taken that one out and I've just cleaned that up. But when you actually get close up to these, you realise, look, there's an awful lot that goes into these, a lot more than you think. Because look, if you see here, this has been machined like that, so that's a lot thinner there, presumably to help pull that across. And then if you look at that one, it's got a certain shape. This one's got a shape. It's not worn. That's how they're made. It's got like a chamfer bit on that edge. This one is a completely different shape again. It's got a chamfer there and at the back, and it's got more of like a chainsaw type tooth that goes pointing up to the sky. Same with that one there. Look, you see it's got a bit of a chamfer on it there. That tooth is more like a normal tooth. That one is a normal tooth with a chamfer on it there. Again, look, that one's been, that tooth's got a chamfer this way and it's thinned down, and then you get to this one, look, it's been milled out. So look, if you look at all that, you might think, oh, that's worn. No, that's how it's been made. It's made deliberately like that to help it catch when you're trying to change gears, and also to run smoothly. So yeah, there's a lot more that goes into these than you think when you just look at it from a distance. But yeah, but that's which one's that? That's number. That tells me marked as 11 speed, which obviously, and that's number 17. So yeah, and remember the market that the numbers always go up as you stack them up. So that's that one done. So I'm now just going to get on and clean all these up. So the next time you'll see me, these will all be nice and clean, and we'll be ready to put it back together. Okay, this is the next one. This is a 14, and again, if you look, this is a completely flat sprocket. But if you can actually see here, look, these are sort of like normal line, and then these two here, look, you see how much they stick up further. They've got much sharper points on them, so they're obviously they're ones to catch the chain when you're trying to pull over or change gear. But just to reiterate again, you must make sure that when you look at these, you don't think, oh, it's knackered. They are all different shapes, so just please be aware of that. Okay. And these are I've cleaned up some of these spaces. They're all the same, these spaces, so don't worry about getting them mixed up. So again, they have a number on. They have the number on the top, on the side there. Look, just to make sure you're looking for the right one. That's 11 speed. So yeah. So I'm just going to clean them all up, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, this one's out, and I've cleaned it all up. But you can see all the grime that's in the bottom there, and these were relatively clean when I took this apart. This is a chance now. I mean, I've never had it happen, but I've seen videos where it has happened, that these rivets here that hold all this together can get loose, and if they're loose, then you obviously need a new part. But I've never had it happen to me, so I'm very surprised if it does. But just check it. Now's your chance to check that they're not loose. But you'd have probably felt it when you were trying to ride the bike. It would have felt a bit sloppy in the gears. But yeah, so that's all. So that one's cleaned. This is actually a really nice piece of work. It's very light, obviously. So that's that one. So I was trying to carry on. All right, sorry to go on about all these, but I'm just, because I just don't want people to think, oh, it's messed up, you got to get a new one, because one's are very expensive, but two, they last a long time. But look at this. This is a new shape. This is on the 12 tooth. This is 1130 I've got here. But look, you see, that's another shape again. Look, that's like two little. They look right. So these teeth here look completely different to that tooth there. So you might look at those and go, oh, my sprocket's all horned. Well, it's not at all. Look, that's a normal one. That's a normal one. That's a normal one. But see, it's got a chamfer there. These are thin. They've been machined thin. Yeah. That's that one. That one. That one. And then these two here, look, they've got. Look at that. I'll get up close to that. You can see that they've got a very funny shape to them. But they're machined like that. You can see that. A machine. So don't worry if they look a bit oddly shaped. They are not worn. You do not need to replace them. Okay, so I'm going to carry on. Okay, there's all our cogs, all our sprockets, and spacers and everything all nice and clean. Now with the petrol, if that's what you're going to use, don't put it down the sink or drain or anything like that. Just put it somewhere safe and leave it outside to evaporate, and it will go that way. Okay, so now let's start putting this back together again. So first of all, obviously, we start with the big one. Then we start with this one. Then we're going to start with the next biggest one. And make sure that the letters, see the letters are facing up. It's going to be that one. Then the next one is that one. Make sure that the letters, the numbers and things are sticking up. Same again with that one. Then it's going to be this one, and it's going to be that one, and that's the nut on the end. Right, so then we've got these 3 spacers, and we know that the spacers go. Okay, these are all laid out now. Now, the way these fit on, there's one of these that have got one of the spacers is very narrow. There you are. Oh, look. That space there, if you notice, is a lot narrower than that space there. So then if you put that at 12 o'clock, I mean it swings and roundabouts, but this just saves a lot of time when you put it together. So you make sure that little narrow point's there, which I've done with all these other ones, so that got the little tiny narrow one. The narrow gap is at the top here. These don't matter because they'll go on anyway, but these ones have to, the little narrow gap is at the top. So if we start rebuilding this, if we go up to our wheel here, just stick it there. If we spin that, there, look, that's there to the top. If you look, that's a thick one, thick one, thick one, thick one, thick one, thick one, and just there at the top, you've got a narrow one. So we put that at 12 o'clock, like that. Right, now we can start building it. So we take the biggest one, because we've already lined that up at, it should just go straight on like that, look. Okay. We'll take the next one, set of that's a 3, so the first one's 2, the next one's 3, that fits on. Then we've got the first one, and make sure that the writing is sticking up, and if you've put it correctly with the, it should just stop straight on. Now we come to the first spacer, and it doesn't really matter which way around you put that, the first spacer fits on. That's on. Now we get the next one again. If you've got that set up, it can only go on one way. It goes on there, like that. Then we have a spacer. And now we have the next 2. There we are. That's on. Let me just move my wheel so I can get to my other bits. Then we've got another spacer. Put the spacer on. Now we've got 3 cogs from now on without, this is the last one, and that will go on. Puts it on like that, without a spacer, and this one goes on. See, that's the beauty of getting them all lined up before you actually start putting it together. And this one here goes on here, so that's the last one, look. There we are. She's all on. So you can't get these cogs on any other way than the way you've put them on. The only thing that you can get wrong is the spacer, but the spacer has to go where I've showed you. And now we've got this. This is our little thing. So you can put it on loosely by hand at the moment. There we are. It just goes on nice and loosely. Put that on. You can feel it start grating as it comes against those like rough bits. There we are. I should have to look. Now you should see that. Look, you see they're all in a line like that, in one particular place. Right. So if you've done it all correctly, all the spaces should be correct down there, which they are. Right. So look, if you look, you can see that they're all the same. So now it's just a case of tightening that up. Now, because the ratchet works in our favour this time, we don't actually need to have a chain round there or anything. We can just do that with the socket. So, got a little tool in there. Put our socket on. And then we just need to, don't need to do it too tight. There you go. You can feel it. It's got because of the the sort of grooves in there, you'll feel it like click, 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 click. Just don't go too tight. That's so it doesn't obviously come undone while you're riding. But that's good enough. That spins nicely. It's got quite a stiff ratchet on this one anyway. So that's it. You've done it. Now we just need to put the there's your quick release. So the little end goes on the sprocket end. So I'm just going to undo that. And we'll make sure that the small end of the spring goes in against the hub. Okay, so that's in that side. Make sure the spring goes on that way, the small end first. Alright, I'll just put that on and she's done. So, you've done it. You've taken your, I mean, I've only used a Dura-Ace, it could have been any cassette. You've taken your cassette off, you've cleaned it up, checked it out for any wear, and put it back together again. And that is looking nice and clean. But I always keep these really clean. So if you're taking your cassette off and it's covered in gunk, then you're not cleaning it enough. I mean, really, if you clean this, you know, every couple of months, and it should be kept nice and clean. It's not really a dirty job. Look, I mean, I haven't been using any gloves, but it's clean enough for me. So you can do it. Hope this has helped. Stick with us because we're going to be fully servicing my Canyon after it got out in the pouring rain. So we're doing all sorts of things. So if this has helped, send me a like or whatever. If you've got any questions, send me a comment.